What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the third album by rapper Chingy. Basically, this project is called Hoodstar, and it came out in the late summer of 2006. So the thing about this particular product is just the fact that Chingy was kind of back and forth around this particular time with his popularity as far as those pitches kind of happen. He had a hit album, pretty quality debut in 2003 with Jackpot, which was a pretty big deal. And then he had a pretty decent, relatively solid follow-up in Powerball from 2004. I've yet to get to Chingy on this particular channel, but I'm definitely going to start getting to some more of these records as far as time goes along. But this is definitely one I favored a lot more because he kind of had a comeback in like the summer and fall of 2006. Got a series of singles, at least 3 of them. Wikipedia nowadays only lists about 2 of them, but there was a third single that charted relatively okay on like the hip hop R&B charts as far as those pitches kind of happen. But I look after it. This is basically, I would have to say, Chingy's second biggest album because a lot of folks, it just kind of feels like nowadays Powerballing from 2004 is kind of seen as more of like a flop, considering it only got one minor or one decent single and then like a second kind of flub single as far as those pitches kind of happen. But I look after it. Jackpot was probably his biggest one, but this is probably his second biggest. Like I was saying, just some excellent type concepts here. Now, he did this without disturbing the peace, and really, I want to say his 2004 album didn't have disturbing the peace either, so no ludicrous help or pitches like that. Some of those type folks play as Circle, Lil Fate, some of those folks I-20, Shauna. But just look after it. He does return to disturbing the peace on his 2007 album, which I'll have to get to down the road. So this is the next album there. This is a classic album. I'm just gonna go ahead and say this album appreciated every song on here. There's 13 songs on the Spotify edition, which is the edition I'm reviewing it, and basically I recommend all 13. So easily this record gets a 10 out of 10. Did not think that was going to happen. I do remember this record from back in the day had definitely some good bops on here. I was surprised. I definitely felt like the single when Chingy got the single Dem Jeans, that was a pretty nice surprise to have kind of gotten here. This is pretty affable that he even got the second single, and even his comeback single, Pulling Me Back, was a surprise as well around that particular time. But it's just the concept. It's an excellent concept. I mean, it's not super common that I recommend every single song on a project. So it's an excellent type concept kind of gets. Just kind of the pitch behind it. That's an excellent type overall appeal behind it. So yeah, easy kind of 10 out of 10 here. Is just kind of, I look after, I realize that Chingy is kind of here and there just within like the appeal behind it. I feel like his appeal nowadays, especially past like folks who don't remember like the early 2000s, mid 2000s and stuff, it's kind of more modest just because he's not really seen as much of a full-blown lyricist. But he basically is kind of like, I would say, if Nelly is like the Jay-Z of Midwest rap, I'd probably say that Chingy's like the Fabulous of Midwest rap. I'd say he's like a good, pretty close substitute to Nelly as far as those pitches kind of happen. He didn't get nearly as huge as Nelly, but he definitely has some good bops and he rivaled within that relative appeal, I'd have to say. So it's just a good pitch for that. Yeah, this is a good classic album here. I definitely like the appeal behind it. Definitely has some great productions on here. Has a 3-6 Mafia beat on here. Jermaine Dupri's on here. Tyrese has a pretty uncommon and quality hook on here to kind of get. There's some folks. Manny Fresh is on here. I don't know if I said that. Like Fat Man Scoop, R.I.P. to him, is on here. This is some good folks on here. So yeah, Carrie Hilson's on here. So it's a pretty good pitch. But so yeah, basically there were 3 singles. So the third single, if you didn't know, if you're kind of unaware, if you at least remember Pulling Me Back and Them Jeans, the third single is Let's Ride with Fat Man Scoop, which is a pretty good pitch. Not superly commonly talked about, but I do think, I want to say it might have had a music video for it, but it was at least attempted back in early 2007, late 2006, but it just didn't chart that heavily compared to the first 2. But still, I'm going to talk about it in the single format. But yeah, so Pulling Me Back with Tyrese is the first single. It's like an autumn brush, kind of peppy lady swoon, kind of day commerce, I would feel like here. It's like a superb hook from Tyrese, I would definitely feel like, and this is definitely like one call away from his Jackpot album on steroids, I'd have to say. Pretty dope concept. Has the same flavor, just overall pitch behind it. Just some real autumn brush just within that particular time. Some real autumn brush just within that particular tone. Just a real good kickback to kind of get for like some standard fare just in the cooler weather pitches like that. Just when the summer heat starting to calm down as far as those pitches kind of happen. The thing about this particular album by Chingy is just the fact that he has a lot of turn-up songs on here. It may not be something that's like sheer full-blown crazy. It may not be something that's sheer full-blown crazy as like Nelly's Hot in here or some of those type pitches, or like Country Grammar Hot Shit. But I would have to say it just has a lot of good affable type ones. There's definitely some bops on here to be able to say. I like the overall social. I think the social score of this album is going to get a 10 out of 10 also. The only reason why I wouldn't is just because of the fact that Chingy's reception is kind of, I realize that, you have to realize that Chingy's reception is just kind of more mid-pace, and he has more of like a mid-pace kind of reception, I'd have to say, but I just wouldn't pay attention. There are some definite ones on here having the appreciation for it, so some good concepts, but Pulling Me Back is a quality one. Dem Jeans with Jermaine Dupri is the second single. This is a real nice surprise of a song here. I'm glad that this particular single came out because this kind of one. This is the sort of thing that Busta Rhymes would kind of do on his albums, where he would get like a surprise second single. This is just a real Apple type one, underappreciated Chingy song, kind of something that when most folks, even if they would have given Chingy Pulling Me Back, just the concept of being able to say that he had another single on top of that that charted pretty well. It's just the concept that he basically got his comeback with this particular product. Chingy was kind of back in the air and back in like the spotlight just in late 2006, early 2007. If he had probably had this one more hit single, I probably would have said that it would have been like a complete superb kind of comeback. It wasn't a fluke, but it was just kind of, or it was just like a modest kind of, okay, you're back, but not, you probably need to talk more kind of thing. But Dem Jeans is basically like a thumping kind of house party turn up, I would feel like. Also get ready, it's also like a get ready to get crunk kind of excitement here, I would definitely say. And it's like, this is like a freshen up kind of grab supplies type song to kind of get here, I'd say. So it's just pretty good pitch for that. Just would look after it. Good concept. Pick up some swishers, some of that type fair. Look nice. Just looks snazzy as far as those pitches kind of having just a good appeal. This the appeal behind getting ready to have like a good, nice mansion party, something like that, or just some sort of like house party gig, something like that, where there's going to be red cups, some of that type fair. Just really have some appeal. That's real nice. Kind of affable type one to kind of get within that particular buzz of the craze behind it. A lot of good appeals on here. Now, Chingy kind of goes back and forth between like some of these dance club songs, nightclub songs, house party songs, and just pitches like that. It's just the overall pretty good affable aspect that just either way, whether it's local or step out, kind of looking more snazzy. It's a good concept, kind of get a lot of this. And Chingy is like a pretty good swag rapper, I'd have to say. He's kind of like a Midwest version of that. So the stuff that 2 Chainz and Young Jock and T.I. were kind of doing, some of those type folks, I feel like Chingy's pretty good at that as well. Definitely had like that pretty boy swag as far as those pitches kind of happen, just within the tone behind it. So I look at it, it's just a good concept. If you like the swag rap from like the late 2000s, mid-late 2000s, that's some of that is actually on here. Dem Jeans is a good example of that. And I would also say that Ass in the is a good example of that. Ass in the is a good example of that. Let Me Love You is a good example of that. And You a Freak and You a Freak's a good example of that. But Let's Ride is the quality third single here. Now, the thing about this particular song with Fat Man Scoop is just the fact that it didn't chart that heavily, which is kind of a disappointment. I can see the concept. I mean, it's not like it's a bad song, but this is kind of the pitch that I think it just was not. I think it's a good song, but it just maybe lacks somewhat of like the superb overall just quality behind it. I just feel like Dem Jeans definitely had the bite behind it, just within the affable kind of simple kind of hook on there, just something ringtone ready. I feel like Let's Ride is definitely like a good dance floor type song, but for some reason it just didn't really have like the overall this compounded kind of snap that it needed. And Pulling Me Back was just a great ladies song, kind of bay type song, and kind of get just within that fair, just for like some summer glaze. But Let's Ride is like a pounding kind of on the dance floor craze of a song. I would feel like this is like an underappreciated single, like I was saying, pretty dope concept. Kind of get that one. This song definitely reminds me of Missy Elliott from like her Lose Control song, some pitches like that, and it's like a local jive kind of blitzer of a song here, I'd have to say. So it's dope enough. This is definitely one if you're looking for like some dance floor songs, whether it's just kind of more localized as pitches like that, whether it's at like a college party or just pitches of like standard fare, just like house party where there's going to be red cups. Someplace where there's actually going to be a dance floor, not so much just like a nightclub, just drinking the booths and pitches like that, be by the bar, some of those type fairs, but actually on the dance floor where you're dancing with chicas, pitches like that, and having like a pretty blitz of a time, just over all the concept, but just getting crazed. It's a good concept. Like movies like Step Up and Honey, some of those type pitches as far as that kind of goes, where it's actually like amidst like the dance floor where you're going to be sweating a little bit, some of that type fair, I'd have to say. So it's a pretty good concept for that. Yeah. So yeah, every song on this album I recommend. So we'll just go ahead and get towards some of these. Like I do feel like a quality one on here is Nikers and Crispy Tees, which I want to say I've heard Rick Ross rap to this particular song. I don't know where it came from, but Rick Ross at one point did like a freestyle of this particular song, and it's pretty snazzy kind of get, but I do appreciate this song. It's like a jazzy kind of turn up tune, I would definitely feel like about this one. It's a great buzz song to kind of get here, and noisemaker, I would feel like, and it's like a crunk. It's definitely like a crunk song to kind of get, and it's like a pretty good trunk shaker, I'd have to say, and it slaps pretty well, I'd have to say about it. And it's real nice jazzy kind of beat. I mean, this one has more Midwest type feel, real nice electric kind of one to kind of get here, just overall like the sparkling kind of appeal of this particular one. Just an easy kind of nice mid-tempo type one to kind of get some Midwest kind of heat to kind of have for some of that type flair. Easy kind of dance club tune. Works pretty well with Let's Ride, I'd have to say. I do feel like Chingy has some of these type songs on here. Real highlighted one on here would be Club Getting Crowded with 3 6 Mafia, I'd have to say. This is like a gnarled kind of venue energy of a song, I'd have to say in particular. It's like a good Chingy and 3 6 combo. I would definitely feel like this is a song to get way tore up to. I definitely feel like typical 3 6 Mafia and their produced songs that they do as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's like an easy highlight kind of hit. The only problem with this particular song is just the fact that Juicy J and DJ Paul don't rap on like the best part of the song as far as those pitches kind of happen. They kind of just do like a standard kind of 3-6 Mafia kind of. They kind of do with like some standard 3-6 Mafia kind of oohs and ahs, just ad lib type background vocals on like their particular verse of the song. I feel like verse 1 and verse 3 of Club Getting Crowded just has the best part of the production on there. I just feel like that's the part of the production that the 3-6 Mafia should have been on as well. But I look after it, still pretty gnarled song. I mean, it's basically one of the craziest songs on here. I kind of feel like I realized that Chingy was not. I realized that Chingy was probably not like a super kind of multimillionaire, not within the pitch, but I just question. Yeah, this is probably one of the craziest songs off the album in particular. I'd say definitely need to be another song like this. Pretty excellent concept to have kind of gotten here. Just overall appreciate the appeal. Just overall has some vicious aspects and just overall this gnarledness that probably, yeah, just I mean, this is definitely a pretty social and festive type album, but this is one that's not as vanilla. I feel like Club Getting Crowded is definitely one of the. This is probably a song that's probably turned up to at least 8.5, 9.5, 10 out of 10 in craziness. But most of this album, apart from like Nikers and Crispy Teas and possibly like the intro, some of those type ones, Riding With Me, that particular song, intro Riding With Me, I'd have to say is just kind of the concept that it's vanilla. It's kind of like Jermaine Dupri, the review I did with that. Just the Jermaine Dupri kind of more. It's kind of like Jermaine Dupri's 2005 album, where it's just kind of more vanilla rap within the sense. But it's a good gateway album to kind of get here. It definitely has that craziness, but yeah, nice change of pace would be Cadillac Door. It's like a woozy but lifting kind of summer day blare of a song. I would have to say about this one. It's like an affable kind of homely gem. I would definitely feel like Southern Pride kind of Tupac similar. I would have to say about this one. This is a pretty catchy song, so I appreciate this one. Just has a real nice summer breeze about it. Just a real nice concept to kind of get here. Mellow type one reminds me of something Manny Fresh would kind of do something within that relative pitch. Just a real Apple type one. It's just a keep your head up type song in particular. Just really like the overall appeal behind it. Dope. It's dope that Chingy was able to pull off a song like this as far as that particular kind of goes. Intro Riding With Me is pretty highlighted one as well. It's like a snazzy and electric kind of intro. I definitely feel like it's like a good Kickstarter and it gets the dance noise kind of hopping pretty quickly, I'd have to say. It's like a get crunk and kind of lively hitter to kind of get here. So this has one of the best beats on this particular album. This probably should have been a lengthier song. I would almost. I'm glad that this was an intro and it had quality appeal behind it. But this pretty much almost should have been a song. I'd have to say. Just the overall Apple type one. Not gonna complain about it, but this is just a real sparkling type one. Chingy really knocks out this particular one. Just really rides the beat pretty well and just has the affable swag on the song that just nails it. Nice appeal. Bounce, that's another highlighted one. This has some pretty good dance appeal about this one. It's like a bopping kind of stock dance club energy, I'd say, about this particular song. It's like a regular kind of social night, marinate, kind of get some drink, and just an overall thrilling song to kind of have here. So this is just kind of some vanilla kind of nightclub energy, I just would say, just a standard night out just within those pitches, but it's not like it's vanilla in kind of quality. It's not like it's vanilla in quality. I'd have to say just another nice hitter to kind of get here, just standard night. Just a lot of these just go hand in hand just with like the appeal behind it. You a Freak, Bounce That, Club Getting Crowded, Brand New Kicks, some of these type of ones just really have that relative appeal. There's just a lot of these, just plenty of these. Hands Up, some of those type ones. Basically, Hands Up is a quality one as well. It's like an out and about kind of day malaise of a song, I'd have to say. It's like some day malaise slag, I would feel like. This song reminds me of like mid 2000s, and the song reminds me of like NWA and like mid 2000s type fare. I'd have to say just more like NWA, like City Traverse. I'd have to say about this one, just some of those type ones that they would do back in like the 80s and early 90s. Pitch like that, just kind of weaving in between cities, just getting hot dogs and Subway. Some of those type pitches, some of that type fare, smoking in the wind, some of that type goodness to kind of get. And this is like a good song to get goodies and kind of cruise around to. So it's a pretty good pitch. Some decent kind of summer energy. It's real Apple type one to just appreciate like some standard city fare, just hangout type breeze just with your homies, some pitches like that. Brand New Kicks is a pretty affable type one to kind of get here. It's like a jazzy and fresh kind of stunt outing of a song, I'd have to say. Definitely like some summer out and about. I would feel like just a typical day kind of fun. It's just like a typical day kind of fun. I'd have to say simp, get some dap and smoke to some pitches like that. So this is a Manny Fresh song as far as those pitches kind of happen. So overall, I like the concept of this particular one. Yeah, Brand New Kicks is just like a typical kind of day, just standard day drudge as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just after responsibilities kind of kick back and relaxation as far as those pitches kind of happen, but still looking pretty jazzy and fresh. I'd say just an excellent type concept, going to get some of this pizzazz about it. I'd say pretty spiffy song, pretty nice one. And then You a Freak is a good quality one as well. It's like a good companion with Let's Ride. I'd have to say it's like a pounding kind of house party heat. I would feel like it's like a basic. It's like a basic local kind of wave maker, I'd have to say. It's like a simp song to kind of get here and a percolate song to kind of have. This is probably one of the crazier songs on the album, You a Freak, I would definitely have to say. Definitely out there with Club Getting Crowded and some type ones, Nikers and Crispy Tea, some of those type ones. want to say songs like Ass in the as well. I'd have to say a good concept for that. Basically, Let Me Love You with Carrie Hilson's a quality one, as well as like a drudgy kind of late day slog and commute of a song. I'd have to say in particular some good concepts for that. It's like a day relief kind of simp and gab kind of fare about this particular one. I'd have to say it's like a smoke good and kind of vanilla hangout to kind of get here. It's basically some after hours kind of kickback just after class or work, some pitches like that. Just a simple concept, just kind of hang with some chicas, standard fare, just pitches like that. Just standard kind of shoot the moon pitches like that. There are kind of some simp songs on this particular product. I look after just the concept of just having relative gap, just being a little bit, just having more pep, just kind of the aspects. Not quite as much of a moody project. I look after just standard simp. This has some good kind of gab and kickback type tone to kind of have for some of these type ones. I feel like songs like Let Me Love You, I'd say Ass in the is a pretty good one for that. I'd say Them Jeans is a nice one. Just some of these in between type songs just for like a standard day, but just the concept where it's not quite the full blown type craziness of just like being out and about within the ferociousness, but actually having some combo kind of in there just amongst some of that type fairedness, not have it just be strictly music blaring and pitches like that. It's a good concept kind of have like the convo kind of amidst like some of the pitches, I'd have to say. But I do like some of these sim type ones within the pitch behind it. And then Ass in the is a pretty nice one as well. It's like a synthy kind of mid-pace residential noise, I'd say, about this particular one. It's like a hopping gem. I would definitely feel like pretty good concept. And it's like a Midwest kind of swag rap looking fly kind of dazzle night of a song to kind of get here. So it's a real good dazzler. So yeah, Ass in the is just a pretty nice one. This is another dap type song to kind of get here. Just Ass in the is another good gap song to kind of get for like some in between type moments when like the music is not on full display as far as those pitches kind of happen. So there's some moments like that. I do feel like Brand New Kicks, Ass in the I do feel like some songs like Brand New Kicks, Ass in the Let Me Love You. Some of these type ones, Dem Jeans, is some good gap type songs kind of get this in particular. I'd probably say that You a Freak might be one of those type ones as well. Just a good pitch. House party type appeals. It's the concept where it's not just amongst like the dance club, just pitches like that, where it's like the full blown craziness factor. So it's just kind of a concept, just having like it's a pretty good standard vanilla night to kind of have like some outings as far as those pitches kind of happen, but just the concept of not being as full blown, just not being as full blown, just not being as much full blown focused on drugs or like dancing as full blown. I'd have to say just the concept of actually in between type mode. So it's good, pretty good pitch for that. Just like the concept, it's a pretty good pitch here. Is what I'd say. So the concept behind this particular album. So the score gets a 10 out of 10 in terms of social score. I'm gonna give the social score. The social score that's kind of tricky. I think I'll give the social score like a 9.75 out of 10. I feel like the quality behind this particular album is there in particular as far as I would kind of go. I just look after the concept behind it. It's just the fact that Chingy's overall appeal is not superbly kind of high. I look after, so it's just kind of the concept for folks that standard folks who are like probably J. Cole, Kendrick fans, some of those type folks, pitches like that, Jay-Z fans, some of these more sheer lyricists, Nas, Ghostface Killah, some of these types of folks, or even more southern rap fried like Migos, Future, some of these type folks, just more southern rap just within the pitches. I mean, Chingy is a pretty vanilla rapper, I'd have to say, and he's kind of modest on today's time, so I just would look after it. It's not to say it's a bad album, but I just feel like it's pretty. I don't want to say it's namby-pamby, but it definitely feels almost milk toast comparatively to a lot of the stuff that's just been out, whether it's lyrics-wise or just full-blown like stunt and swag or this full-blown stunt and trap kind of pizzazz about it. So it's just kind of the concept. It just comes off almost like vanilla or wafer-esque just within the tone behind it, but it really is. I mean, this album slaps pretty heavily. Has some good gab songs on here. There's definitely some good swag raps. Just kind of the appeal. That's the main draw I was trying to say about this particular project with some of these gab songs. Just the fact that it has some swag rap in here, not just focused on like drugs or dancing or just full blown just wooing women as much as like the concept of actually getting to gab as far as just like having standard charisma game and gab as far as those pitches kind of happen with it just within the tone. It's just an excellent type concept with it, but I look after it. It's within the tone behind it. It's just kind of the concept. It's just a little bit more vanilla wafer-esque compared to a lot of the folks that are out, especially nowadays. But Chingy was kind of seen like that even back in 2006. It's kind of why he got kind of shoehorned out of the spotlight. But look after, still some good appeal. 9.75 social. So in terms of the future, like Chingy, he apparently went to college or something like that after like the mid 2010s. He at least dropped some projects up to like the early 2010s in terms of like mixtapes. He has at least 5 albums up to like 2010s and pitches like that. So he has a number of projects in like the early 2010s or so, but then he just kind of drifted away. He did at least do like he almost did a Republican concert a few weeks ago, something like that, but it got canceled just within the tone behind it. But I just look after he canceled it. I'd have to say it was just kind of the tone. Hopefully we get some more quality projects here, but I look after I am going to review some more Chingy. This is a classic album. This particular product definitely has some excellent bite. It says social pizzazz out the wazoo for the most part. I'd have to say just an excellent type fare to kind of get a lot of this blissness and just overall. That's pretty. This particular product just has social pizzazz out the wazoo. I just would have to say just an excellent type pitch to kind of get just with standard tones of just turn up, pitches like that, some day drive, some job life, some in between homely type songs and pitches like that, some good lady songs, some game songs and pitches like that. For the most part, minus like the sheer get kind of destroyed off drugs type songs, which I'd say minus like the songs and maybe like Nike Errors and Crispy Teas and Club Getting Crowded, I'd probably say for the most part, this is not necessarily healthy, but just more vanilla within its tone. But I look after it for the most part, you're going to find plenty of good social outs on this particular product and have a pretty lively time, I'd have to say. So it's an excellent type favorite here, pretty much underappreciated classic from someone who doesn't typically get that kind of spotlight.